How one small person can turn the tide. A lesson from the Battle of Leyte. In an effort to finish off the Japanese towards the end of World War II, the Americans decided to land troops in the Philippines and from that base of operations cut off Japan's supply of oil from the Dutch East Indies. Knowing that the American plan would grind their war machine to a halt, the Japanese launched a counteroffensive that consisted in two parts. First, its northern fleet did maneuvers to make the Americans think an attack was imminent from the north. But this was only a decoy to lure away protecting aircraft carriers and battleships from the recently landed troops. The second part of the counteroffensive consisted in sending Center Force to pound the U.S. forces on the beach with heavy artillery from 5 battleships, 12 cruisers, and 15 destroyers. The U.S. Admiral William Bull Halsey took the bait and launched out to sea to defeat the northern force, which he thought was the imminent attack. And he left the forces at Leyte almost completely unprotected. Only a small task force called Taffy 3, consisting of 6 escort carriers and 9 small destroyers, some of them so small the sailors called them tin cans, was left behind to protect against what they thought would be only submarine operations. Admiral Takeo Kurita, in command of Japan's center force, managed to slip through the Strait of San Bernardino undetected and completely surprise Taffy 3 on October 24, 1944. Under his command was the biggest battleship ever built, the fearsome Yamamoto, which alone weighed more than all the ships of Taffy 3 put together. The Battle of Leyte has been called the most unequal in naval history. Caught off guard, the Americans set up smoke screens while they tried to get their aircrafts out of there. Meanwhile, Lieutenant Commander Ernest Evans decided to act without orders. He commanded his small ship, the USS Johnston, to sail directly towards the intimidating center force to get in close enough range to be able to launch his torpedoes. It was a suicide mission. While center force fired shell after shell, Evans steered his ship forward until he was close enough to fire his torpedoes. He damaged 2 cruisers. Other captains, seeing the audacity of the USS Johnson, did the same, sailing toward the firing ships on similar suicide missions. In all, they sank 5 Japanese destroyers. In the confusion of the smokescreens and the tropical storms of that day, and without air reconnaissance, Admiral Kurita ultimately called off his attack, believing that the ferocity of his enemies meant that he was facing the entire U.S. Navy. And so one man's decision to act decisively changed the course of the battle and changed the course of history. As the Roman generals said 2,000 years ago, fortune favors the bold. Whatever you're facing today in your attempts to reach success, you must be bold. You must act decisively, and you shouldn't be afraid to go on a suicide mission, to go for broke, as it were. The monument on the beach of Leyte, which stands today, records the incredible efforts of the U.S. Army to defeat the Japanese Navy and the Japanese War. One small person's actions can turn the tide.